Derek Nelson. Derek, briefly summarize your personal background and experiences, and why are you running for office of Big Lake School Board?
Thank you. My name is Derek Nelson. I've been owning businesses within Big Lake for the last 6 years. I've been a coach in the Big Lake School District for over 6 years. In fact, in that 6-year time, we've taken a team of that only consisted of 2 teams and 12 kids, and we've exploded that into 6 teams. We're looking at adding 2 more teams next year, and we are now nationally recognized on our national stage. In working with these kids, I've been able to see firsthand what's happening. I've been able to talk to parents and explore the difficulties and the oppositions that are taking place. Big Lake has great things going on. District has awesome things. However, there are things that need to be changed. Success happens when failure evolves into lesson. And it's about time we have somebody on the school board that can acknowledge failure and turn it into lesson.
Derek, for 2 minutes, what would be your top 2 or 3 priorities as a school board member serving the Big Lake area?
I've had the privilege of spending the last 5 years volunteering and coaching throughout not just the Big Lake School District, but throughout our community. I can say honestly that we have some of the best hardworking students in Minnesota, and the Big Lake School District has an opportunity to not only be the example, but to set the example for all other schools. But that's without saying that there are some issues. Bullying and communication with parents, quality of life with kids, preparing them for the future, acknowledging the fact that students should not be spending 15 to 25 hours a week doing homework. We need to keep a focus on education and not politics. It's about accountability. It's about integrity for all involved. My priorities are to address those issues, integrity and accountability.
For the next 2 minutes, the November 2nd ballot also includes a question on the ballot about a $30 million bond referendum for school building improvements and other areas. Do you support this referendum? Why or why not?
There is no question that we need to make sure the schools have the resources they need to provide great education and experience for our kids so that they can leave this school and go on to experience great success in their future. That being said, I have significant reservations about this referendum. It was just shared earlier this evening that just to have the facilities fixed alone, that was $20 million. That's $10 million less than what is being asked. Another issue is we're looking at this as potential bonds up to $30 million. I think we can do better to concisely identify what exactly needs to be done right now and what we can plan for in the future. And a lot of the things that are talked about on that referendum are things that have actively been discussed in the past over the last several years as I've been a community member. I think we can do a lot more with a lot less. I also believe that as a business owner, and as business owners in this room, if I were to go to my accountant, my CPA, and say, I need a blank check for up to $30 million, and here's some comparatives, here's some information behind it, but hey, let me tell you, it's going to be taken care of, and we have a plan, but there's no more substance than that, or what we're going to do to maintain the longevity of that. What are we going to do in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, when other things come up? I'd get laughed out of the room. I think we can do more to be fiscally responsible, and as a board member, these are the types of things that I would do. Ensure we utilize the resources we have and the connections and the relationships we have to be successful. And I would make sure that the referendums we're asking for are well thought out and are shared with the public of exactly what is needed, why it's needed, and how it's going to be most impactful for our students and allow them to be successful in their future.
Okay, thank you. For the next minute, after a year of mostly online learning and now back to classroom instruction, what are your thoughts to ensure that our students have the best education possible?
First and foremost, we need to get the politics out of the classroom and refocus on getting back to the basics of teaching. Education is about simple core subjects: math, reading. STEM, we're a STEM school. There's some great opportunities there, and there's some awesome extracurricular and other opportunities that are taking place in our schools. Let's focus on those. We have the opportunity to set our kids up for success throughout a global economy and have them prepared for outstanding futures. But we have to understand that students today have significantly more demands on their time than in the past. I've seen firsthand the pressure these kids are under, and we need to make sure as a school board we are aware of that and focusing on the things that I talked about in my opening and throughout the night so far, making schools a safe place and addressing issues with accountability and integrity is how we are going to have our students become the most successful students, and we can start taking the Big Lake District and turning it into an example, not just another mark on a forum.
Ashley, thank you. Derek, various reports have indicated higher mental health concerns and stress for both students and teachers dealing with increased technology and different ways of learning. In 30 seconds, what ideas do you have to support students and teachers with increased stress?
Committees and studies are great. Big Lake's been doing it for years, and we keep losing students. So let's keep it simple. We need to reduce the homework load on the kids. We need to make it more important for the kids to have a successful education than it is for them to get paperwork done. We need to be able to have parents heard, and we need to make sure that the parents not just being heard, but there's the different issues they're bringing up are being addressed. We want our community to be a part of our school. It's the cornerstone of our community. That's how we have success as a district.
Thank you. Thank you. Derek, yes or no question, then explanation, please. Do you support or oppose CRT?
No. CRT started in 1980 as a legal analytical tool. It has no place in our public schools, much less any educational system. Martin Luther King Jr. said it best, judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. Anything that goes against that has no place in our schools.
All right, Eric, same question. Would you stand, 30 seconds, would you stand up against a future mask mandate for students if the governor pushed one?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. If the governor tries to impose a mandate, I'll set up the buses and I'll drive the buses down to the Capitol. They will hear our voice. We are not doing masks and we're not doing mandatory vaccines as long as I'm on board, and I will do everything I can to push that narrative.
Do you see the school board role as a representative of the community or of the school system?
As a school board, we are representatives of the parents that elected us and the students that are in the school. We are to work with the administrators, the teachers, and make sure they have the resources, the tools, and the ability, as well as the accountability to do their jobs and do their jobs well. We want to ensure that our students are being successful and are graduating with a successful future in front of them. It's not just we're representing the school or the community. We're representing the school and the students first.
And Derek, as a senior school psychologist, how will you deal with radical and progressive teachers that promote critical race theory, as I have seen the emotional damage that subject has caused children?
Again, critical race theory is just a flat no. It was a legal analytical tool that was developed in the 1980s and since has been the spearhead of many activist-type education that has taken place within various districts and within colleges. It has no place in the educational system. However, if somebody were to take it upon themselves to do it, I would absolutely support our superintendent in taking any consequential action necessary to remediate that situation.
Okay, thank you. I think we covered that. Thank you. Derek, what will you do to address the significant bullying issues?
I would ensure that Friends of Rachel is well underway. I'd make sure kids are involved in EPIC and other organizations that are already actively implemented throughout our schools. I would then make sure communication is wide open and we are focusing on developing a new culture within our school. This starts with culture. It's very simple. If kids don't feel appreciated and they don't feel like they belong, how are they going to stop and put their foot down when they see somebody else being bullied or being the recipient of bullying? This needs to stop with the kids, and it starts with culture.
Thank you. Thank you. Derek, considering that there exists what many call a crisis of mental health among our youth, discuss your opinion of allowing a faith-based organization to make themselves available to the students. I believe the majority of parents would support this, and I believe it would be great for the kids who want to take part.
I would have no issue if a faith-based organization or any other organization wanted to come in and work with our kids outside of regular school hours. That's where we can develop some new programming. That's where we can develop new outreach alternatives that may not be currently available in the school. Regarding the mental health issue and everything else under that, what would hurt to provide more resources and to strengthen what we already have in place to help the kids in need?
Thank you. And Derek, I believe you are first on this next question. So, 30 seconds. Does a biological girl have a right not to have a biological boy in her bathroom?
In my opinion, we have many alternatives already being offered in our schools. A biological girl does not have a reason to have a biological boy in their bathroom. There are alternatives and there's policies in place and can be developed to ensure safety for all and acceptance of all.
Derek, how will you ensure equity for our student body? Explain your views on equality versus equity.
Are we holding our staff and our students accountable for their own actions, and as well as the educational success of our district? And are we maintaining highest levels of integrity? That's the simplest thing for me. This is not a one puzzle piece fits everything type scenario. We cannot compromise an individual or the entire district for some political ideology. Politics don't belong in the school. At the end of the day, it comes down to what are we doing to keep individual students successful as well as the whole.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Derek, are you in favor of including sexual orientation teaching in sex ed? And if so, which grade do you believe this should be taught?
It's a very open-ended question. To make it very simple, we need to be focusing on our school culture. How are we encouraging our students to be accepting of others? We don't need to teach them how somebody feels or how somebody's perceiving or choosing to live their life or the way somebody identifies themselves as something that should or should not be accepted or should not be hated. Why can't we just teach our kids to accept each other for who they are, what they are, and how do we encourage our kids to appreciate, support, and help each other achieve success?
Ashley, are you in? Derek, in 30 seconds. Member from the audience wrote, my son was told in second grade that he was not allowed to move up to a higher reading level as it made other kids feel left behind. How would you encourage teachers to be able to push advanced kids? Is this a concern of yours?
If a student has the opportunity to jump to a higher level of any type of education, why wouldn't we want to support that? We want to have a successful standard-setting district. To do that, we want kids that are being set up for success. That only happens if we identify the individual needs as well as the needs of the classroom and the district as a whole. If there's an opportunity to move a child up, I say let's do it. If there's no programming or policy in place, now we are as a school board, that's something to address.
Ashley, thank you. Derek, you will lead this next question off. And it says, this is from a member in the audience, says, as a candidate, can you tell us the current status of student academic achievement in our district? 30 seconds.
Well, we're only about a month into our current school year, so if we're looking at last year was a bit of a difficult year because it was COVID, and we lost more students than we enrolled in the last year, which seems to be a trend. I guess the better question is, what are we doing to maintain the success of our district, and what are we doing to get that success out to families so as they moved into our community, they want to send their schools here, or send their students here to attend our school.
Thank you. Derek, Big Lake School Board is a governance board. What does that mean to you? Because it's a governance board, the board makes decisions as a whole. That being said, if you have made promises during this election, how do you intend to keep those promises?
As a governance board, we assist in developing policy and setting the overall architecture that's going to be followed throughout the district. In terms of promises and things of that nature, I'm looking for quality of life of kids, seeing kids be successful, and ending the issues of bullying. We have a great new superintendent. We have a new activities director. We've got some new teachers in the building. We have a lot of opportunity for things that are going really, really well in Big Lake. Those are things that we want to enhance, add to, or build upon. As a board member, I would work with the people that are championing those opportunities.
Thank you. And Derek, with the reputation in the community and neighboring communities of Big Lake special ed program being poor, how would you address the following? Evaluating the program, improving the program, changing perception, and encouraging enrollment. How will you let families and students know about 504s and IEPs? Many are not aware.
Sounds like an excellent opportunity for a school board to work with their superintendent communications director to get the right surveys and the right questions out to families. Find out what difficulties they're having, why is there issues, and what can we do as a district to resolve those issues and answer those questions. If people are having questions about IEPs or 504s or they don't know what they are, then it's time for us as a district to get that information out into the hands of the families. We just talked about individual education and opportunities to advance kids when they need it. IEPs and 504s, that's a start.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Derek, if parents in the community disagree with state-mandated curriculum, would you stand with the parents or the state?
Absolutely stand with the parents. It comes down to a very simple thing. If the majority of the parents don't want something taught, why are we teaching it? There's options to adopt it into an elective. If it's a mandate that's coming down from the state that's tied to some sort of funding, which does happen, in 3 years we have debt dropping off, so it sounds like we might be able to absorb a little debt.
Derek, you're first. What will you do to address the year-over-year decrease in student enrollment?
I feel it comes down to a school culture issue. We don't really have one. We want our kids to be excited, to be proud, to be a Big Lake student, and a lot of kids are, but not every one of them is. We want to be able to have our kids come into this district and feel that this is a place where they're not only appreciated, but they are being set up for success. They are being given the tools to succeed, and if they're faced with some sort of adversity or issue, it's going to be resolved.
Thank you, Chelsea. Derek, for your last minute here, why are you the best candidate for this office? And is there something else you want to tell us about yourself or your views that hasn't already been said? 1 minute.
I asked for your vote for school board because for the last 5 years I've spent literally thousands of hours coaching in the schools and volunteering throughout the community. I've gotten to see firsthand the great things we have going on and the challenges and opportunities for improvement. The issues that have been discussed is ranging from bullying to politics in the school. At the end of the day, it comes down to this. Higher enrollment doesn't change if students are continuing to leave the district. New facilities aren't that special if we don't have students to go into them. We need to do better to continue to support our students, make them feel appreciated, make them feel desired, and get them pumped to be a Big Lake student. That's when change happens. And then we bring in the families and we get them excited too. That's where things start. They say you can tell the character of a person by where they put their time and treasure. Well, my time and a lot of my treasure has been spent right here in the schools. I love our kids, I love our schools, and I'll work my tail off for you.
Okay.